Hello and welcome to your function notation practice. This is lesson 3 of Foundations for Algebra, Unit 1A. Today, scholars will understand, that's the right color, will understand and use function notation to evaluate some functions. That is what we are doing today. So let's look, first of all, let's talk about function notation. So we're being asked to evaluate. So evaluate just means find the value of. You don't need to write this, but just so you remember, evaluate in mathematics means find the value of. So we're being asked to find the value of this function. So this is read as f of x. So we're being asked to evaluate the function f of x equals x minus 3. F of x just replaces our y. So this just replaces y. Okay? So let me just erase this real quick. So f of x simply replaces our y, and we read it as f of x. I know it looks like f times x, but it is read as f of x. So we're being asked to evaluate this function f of x equals x minus 3 at the value of f of negative 2. When I see f of negative 2, notice that the negative 2 is where the x is. So that means that we are going to replace the x in the rest of the equation with negative 2. So f of negative 2, to find it, we say f of negative 2 equals, and we're going to replace x with negative 2, negative 2 minus 3. So f of negative 2 is equal to negative 2 minus 3. Negative 2 minus 3 is negative 5. So that is the value of this function at f of negative 2. Well, what about at f of 0? At f of 0, again, we are just going to replace the x with 0. F of 0 is the same thing as 0 minus 3. Well, that's pretty simple. F of 0 is just equal to negative 3. And then I want you to try the third part, find f of 5. Pause the video, find it, and then unpause the video. Okay, so you should have found that f of 5 was equal to 2. If you didn't, go back and check your work. So let's try another one. So notice in this case, instead of saying f of x, we say g of x. They do this just so that you can tell equations apart. This function, and by the way, any function that you see written this way is a function. If it says f of x, g of x, h of x, whatever, it is a function. In this case, g of x equals negative 2 times x. Because remember, we have the coefficient here next to it. We're just going to be multiplying. So in this case, we're going to take g of x, and we are going to find our input. So the first one, we have g of negative 2. So we're going to find g of negative 2. Remember that the negative 2 replaces x. Is negative 2 times negative 2. I'm going to put where my x is in parentheses. Well, that's easy enough. Negative 2 times negative 2 gives me 4. So g of negative 2 is 4. Pause the video now and try to find g of 0 and g of 5. Okay, when you come back in, I should see your work and your notes, but you should have g of 0 equals 0 and g of 5 equals negative 10. If you got those wrong, check your work. Once again, we have another letter. This is, again, so we can just tell these apart. But you're going to do the exact same thing. We're being asked to evaluate the function f or h of x at h of negative 2, h0, h of 5. But this time, the function is a little bit more complex. It doesn't matter, though. It does not change how we do this. So here h of negative 2, remember the negative 2 is going to replace the x in our equation, equals 5 minus 3 times negative 2. Well, h of negative 2 equals 5 minus 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Remember, minus and negative turns into plus, so I have h of negative 2 equals 5 plus 6. Easy enough, h of negative 2 is 11. Take a minute and try the other two. Pause the video and try these. Okay, so hopefully you've tried them now. So h of 0, you should have gotten h of 0 equals 5. And for h of 5, you should have gotten h of 5 equals negative 10. If you did not get those answers and you can't figure out why, come see me. So now this one is a little bit different. Now we're being asked to, again, to evaluate the function, but this time, this is our function, f of x equals 6x. But they're asking us to evaluate, instead of saying f of negative 24, it says they want to know what f of x equals negative 24. So now, instead of replacing the x, we are going to replace the f of x. This tells us we're replacing f of x, not x. So I'm going to rewrite this as negative 24 equals 6x. So I need to figure out what value of x makes this true. In order to do that, I'm going to divide both sides by 6. So I have negative 24 divided by 6 equals 6x divided by 6. Well, negative 24 divided by 6 gives me negative 4. 6x divided by 6 gives me x, and there's my value. In this case, we're going to just find the value of x. We have the same thing here. Evaluate g of x equals negative 10x when g of x equals 15. Again, you are replacing g of x with 15. So I have 15 equals negative 10x. Pause the video and take a minute to try to find the answer. Okay, hopefully you have. We are going to divide both sides by negative 10 to figure this out. So I've got 15 divided by negative 10 equals negative 10x divided by negative 10. So negative 10x divided by negative 10 just gives me x. 15 divided by negative 10 gives me negative 1.5. Okay? You have two more to try on your own. Again, you're replacing f of x with 4 and try to solve it. And this last one, you're replacing f of x, or h of x, sorry, with negative 2. Take some time and try to solve those. If you get stuck, come see me. I will see you in class.